Chapter 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing this, Orochimaru loosened his tightly clenched hands, his face returned to calm, and he walked to the side of the barrier and a low voice sounded. But I still hope you can give him a perfect ending. Orochimaru spoke hoarsely. I will, but you have to pay the price for doing something wrong, right? Minato said with a smile. Orochimaru stopped when he heard this, turned around with a gloomy face, and looked at the smiling Minato Namikaze. He always felt that Minato Namikaze had changed now. The smile that made people feel warm in the past was gone in Orochimaru's eyes, and the warmth of the past, on the contrary, he saw a chill that was several times colder than his own, and the boundless murderous intent. It was obvious that this person had changed into a wolf in sheep's clothing. Orochimaru looked at Minato Namikaze, who was looking at him with a smile on his face, and muttered to himself. Yes, you have to pay the price for doing something wrong. Orochimaru also nodded secretly, obviously agreeing with what Minato said. This is also the basic cognition of people. But some things cannot be judged by right or wrong, but your decision may not succeed, just like me, Orochimaru said slowly. Didn't you say it? I am the fourth Hokage of Konoha village. No one can disobey my decision, and no one can overrule my judgment. If there is, send him to the Pure Land to see the Six Paths Sage. I believe no one will look forward to seeing the Six Paths Sage, Minato said slowly in a cold voice. From Minato's mouth, Orochimaru heard waves of chills. Still so sure, still so calm, the person in front of him made Orochimaru feel strange and familiar. The reason for the strangeness was that this person had changed, and became ruthless in doing things. The familiarity was the familiar moves and the familiar smile. Yes, because you are the fourth Hokage. Orochimaru nodded slightly, waved his hand and asked his men to untie the barrier. His 4 Otogakure ninjas stood behind Orochimaru instantly. There was also a white-haired young man wearing glasses. This guy should be one of the masterminds behind the 4th Ninja World War. Sensing Minato's sight, Kabuto Yakushi, who was next to Orochimaru, suddenly felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar and trembled all over. It was not until Minato's sight shifted elsewhere that Kabuto Yakushi felt much better. Minato slowly walked towards Orochimaru on the opposite side. Seeing this, Orochimaru quickly made an attacking move. Minato saw Orochimaru's attitude and shook his head and said, I have already said that I will let you go. You can go, but you have to wait a while. Minato walked to Orochimaru, and the system's prompt sound rang. It was found that the target Kabuto Yakushi could be signed in. Did you sign in? Minato smiled at the corner of his mouth when he heard this, and silently said in his heart, sign in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the elementary palm magic. The cold mechanical sound of the system came, and Minato was slightly disappointed when he heard it. Why is it the palm magic? It's still an elementary palm magic, but it was also within Minato's expectations. After all, the current Kabuto Yakushi is not the Kabuto sage during the 4th war. This guy is still rubbish now. Then Minato moved away from Orochimaru. Minato looked at everyone with a serious expression. Okay, disperse. He said. It turned out that at the moment when Orochimaru removed the barrier, the surrounding Umbun ninjas and some civilian ninjas surrounded him. It seems that they want to capture Orochimaru alive. Even if Orochimaru is not in good condition now, it is not something that some cats and dogs can deal with. If they are allowed to besiege Orochimaru, it will definitely increase casualties. In response to this, Minato asked them to retreat. They, the Umbun ninjas and civilian ninjas, still want to keep Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, cold-hearted. Are they thinking too much? 4th generation sir. Orochimaru is a traitor, we can't let him go. And he seriously injured the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. We can't let Orochimaru and his men leave. Point one after another, the Umbun ninjas told Minato Namikaze not to let Orochimaru go. This really had the flavor of forcing the emperor to abdicate. Seeing this, Minato's eyes also darkened, looking at his familiar subordinates and his disciples. I couldn't help shouting, Kakashi, Shiranuigenma, and the same foot. Minato Namikaze's eyes fell on the people whose names were called out at the same time. Seeing this, several people hesitated for a moment and then moved away. Kakashi hesitated for a moment and moved away. After all, the person who was speaking was his teacher, who was also the fourth Hokage of Konoha. The other party had the right and ability to let him move aside. Kakashi felt that if he had to choose one person to be the Hokage between his teacher and the third Hokage, it would undoubtedly be his teacher Minato Namikaze. Kakashi called out to the next to him. Naruto Uzumaki and others stared at Minato Namikaze in a daze, and then Uchiha Sasuke ran away. As for the others. Bang, bang, seeing this, Minato Namikaze once again released his immense chakra, forcing all the Umbu to kneel on one knee. Orochimaru quickly protected the Otogakure ninja behind him, crossed his hands in front of his chest, and struggled to resist this force. Drops of cold sweat ran down Orochimaru's pale and weak cheeks, and a hoarse voice came from Orochimaru's mouth. How much of your strength is Minato's current burst of power, that the surrounding roofs were also blown away by this powerful force, and the entire house was also blown to pieces by this force. Minato heard this and groped his chin with one hand and replied, 50% of the power. Orochimaru was shocked to hear Minato say this, but he still laughed dryly on the surface, only 50%. After hearing what Orochimaru said, Minato said helplessly, after all, they are too weak. It is impossible for them to withstand 70% of my chakra like you. If I use the chakra I used against you before, they can't bear it at all. After all, my goal is just to get you out of here. Hearing what Minato said, Orochimaru smiled on his pale and sick face. The golden vertical pupils stared at Minato closely, and turned away with the Otogakure ninjas. At this moment, the unconscious Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly spit out a mouthful of old blood, attracting the attention of countless Umbu ninjas. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Minato Namikaze saw Orochimaru had left with his men and stopped releasing his chakra. He turned to look at the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was surrounded by the Umbu ninjas. Minato walked closer but did not reach out to help Sarutobi Hiruzen on the ground. Instead, he said indifferently, the third Hokage is old and was injured in the battle with Orochimaru. Just send him to the ninja hospital. The Umbu ninjas who were supporting Sarutobi Hiruzen were sweating and did not dare to look up at Minato Namikaze, because the feeling Minato gave them just now was too terrifying and they were still feeling a little uncomfortable. They quickly lowered their heads and responded, it's the Hokage. That everyone understood that only a small part of the third Hokage's injuries were caused by the battle with Orochimaru, and the rest were basically caused by Minato Namikaze releasing his own chakra. But everyone knew very well that no one would take the initiative to bring up this matter, because it was not their turn to manage this matter. Besides, even if they were asked to manage it, would they dare to manage it? Minato's actions just now have already shown that the fourth Hokage stood on the opposite side of the third Hokage. This is a fight between Hokages, and they cannot intervene. After watching a few people leave, Minato returned to the Hokage building, walked to the Hokage's office, and sat in the position of Hokage. You want to ask why Minato didn't go to see Uzumaki Naruto? Come on. Besides, Naruto was not born by himself in Uzumaki Kushina, but only the son of his predecessor. But Namikaze Minato will still fulfill his obligations as a father. After all, no matter what, this body is Naruto's father. Another reason is that Naruto is too saintly, which makes Minato a little disgusted. Are you telling the truth, Mr. Kakashi? Naruto asked Kakashi excitedly. The fourth Hokage is my father. I am not a fox demon or a monster. Haruno Sakura on the side was also incredulous. She didn't expect that the guy who made trouble every day was actually the son of the fourth Hokage. Uchiha Sasuke was also surprised when he heard it. Obviously, he didn't expect that Naruto, the last one, would be the son of the fourth Hokage. Who is the fourth Hokage? This is the third ninja world war. Isn't it the Golden Flash Namikaze Minato who became famous in the ninja world? Kakashi looked helpless. How about this, you and I go to see the teacher and ask him if you are his son. Uzumaki Naruto nodded and rushed to the location of the Hokage building. Kakashi hurriedly followed him when he saw this. After all, He also had a lot to say to the teacher. Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura followed and soon arrived at the door of the Hokage's office. Kakashi knocked first. Hearing the knock, Minato stopped working and said to the door, "Come in." Kakashi and Uzumaki Naruto arrived at the Hokage's office. Naruto saw the man with golden hair and a gentle smile on his face and asked tremblingly. "Fourth Hokage, you are my father, right?" Minato was a little surprised to hear this. He didn't expect Naruto to ask so directly. He glanced at Kakashi beside him. Seeing this, Kakashi lowered his head like a child who had made a mistake. Then Minato put his elbows on his chin, looked at his son, and asked with a smile, "Do you want me to be your father?" Naruto heard Minato say this, his eyes flickered, and he didn't know how to speak for a while. He was afraid that the man in front of him would tell him that he was not his father. Minato saw what Naruto was thinking. He walked up to Naruto and touched his head. He looked into his azure blue eyes and said word by word, "I am your biological father." Naruto couldn't hold back any longer and threw himself into Minato's arms. He couldn't hold back any more tears and burst out. He couldn't help but ask loudly, "Why did you leave me? Why did my mother leave me too?" Listening to Naruto's somewhat collapsed speech, Minato felt a little uncomfortable. "I heard from teacher Kakashi, you sealed the nine tails into my body back then. Do you know how I have been through these years? For 12 years, do you know how I have been through these 12 years? Speak. I eat expired bread and drink expired milk every day. Why couldn't you be selfish with your mother and survive for me at that time? In this way, I am no longer an orphan, and I am no longer the demon fox in the mouth of the common people of Konoha. In this way, I am the son of Hokage in their mouths for these 12 years. Why did you seal the nine tails into your son's body?" Minato seemed to sense Naruto's emotions, or maybe it was the influence of the previous body, this body, that made him say involuntarily, "Naruto, I'm sorry, it was Dad's fault. Mom and Dad shouldn't have left you. I just wanted to seal the nine tails into your body. I believed that you could master this power and become a hero of the village, but I didn't expect that it indirectly harmed you. Now that Dad is back, you are no longer an orphan." Naruto's excitement gradually subsided when he heard Minato's words. Naruto also felt his father's love and guilt for him, and knew how hard it was to get this hard-earned fatherly love. If it weren't for Dad's resurrection, he would still be an orphan now. He didn't expect that he was the son of the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze, whom he had always admired, so, Naruto raised his tear-stained little face and looked at Minato. "From today on, I am a child with a father. My father is the fourth Hokage. Let's see who dares to call me a monster or a demon fox." Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Naruto Uzumaki's happy look, Minato also laughed unconsciously, and then reached out to touch Naruto Uzumaki's head. At this time, the voice of the system sounded in Minato's mind, "Wakaka. It's been a while since I last saw you, and you already have a son." Minato's thoughts were instantly immersed in the system. "By the way, System Elf, you're awake. Won't it take a long time for you to wake up?" Minato's somewhat puzzled voice sounded. Hearing Minato's question, the System Elf said slowly, "I just like to sleep and there's nothing wrong. The system mall is open. Do you want to come in and take a look?" Minato looked at the system panel immediately after hearing this, and sure enough, he saw an additional system mall below. Going in, he saw Devil Fruit, Sharingan, Byakugan, would release Blood Boundary, Otsutsuki Blood Boundary, Samsara Eye, Golden Samsara Eye, 6 Magatama Samsara Eye, Tensei Eye, and the little-known Kunganami Eye. Seeing this, Minato couldn't help but praise, "Wow, this must have been dug from Ishiki Otsutsuki." Then he looked down. The era of the beauty contact lenses ended, and the era of tattoos began. Then Minato asked the system, "You have something?" The system elf heard this and raised its head proudly and said, "Of course, this system can allow you to open the tattoo era in advance. Isn't it surprising?" Minato nodded in agreement, then looked at other worlds above, and after clicking in, he saw some weapons from other worlds, skills and armor, such as the War Soul Blade and the Sky Dance technique in the Dragon Ball world, can all be exchanged with the system, but you need to exchange points to exchange them. 1 Magatama Sharingan 2 points. 2 Magatama Sharingan 5 points. 3 Magatama Sharingan 10 points. Mangekyo Sharingan 20 points. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan 40 points. Rinnegan 80 points. 6 Magatama Sharingan 120 points. 9 Magatama Sharingan Samsara I 180 points. Wood Style Blood Limit 40 points. A-Level Ninjutsu Fire Style Great Fire Extinguishment 12 points. A-Level Ninjutsu Fire Style Great Fire Extinguishment 12 points. Looking at these two ninjutsu, I couldn't help but sigh. This is Madara-sama's signature ninjutsu. In my previous life, when I was following the anime Naruto, Uchiha Madara was resurrected by Kabuto Yakushi during the Fourth Ninja World War. When fighting against the Ninja World Alliance, a fire-style ninjutsu was used by Madara-sama with the power of S-level fire style. The Ninja Coalition used a squad of water-style ninjas to barely hold off. You can imagine how strong the chakra was. Then they flipped to other worlds and looked at Rubber Fruit 150 points. Zanpakuto 100 points. Air Dance 120 points. 10 times Kaioken without side effects 160 points. Super Saiyan Bloodline 350 points. Super Saiyan 1 150 points. Super Saiyan 2 250 points. Super Saiyan 3 350 points. Currently only updated to Super Saiyan 3. The system will update the later stages when it is in a good mood, the system elf said lazily. Minato was speechless, but he didn't take it seriously. Instead, he asked, how do you get these points? Host, as long as you sign in on a person every day, or sign in at a place, you can get points. The system elf slowly explained to Minato. Before Minato spoke, the system elf said again, you can get 5 points for signing in on a person once, and 10 points for triggering a critical hit. The points you get from signing in at a location and signing in at a person are the same. Minato felt that this was okay. It's not bad to be able to catch a bug this way. Minato smiled. At this time, the system's voice sounded, host, please don't daydream. Bugs can be caught, but the rewards you get each time will be reduced. And remind the host that the stronger the person who is signed in, the easier it is to trigger a critical hit reward. Minato nodded when he heard this, and he was not disappointed. After all, the system also said that there would be new functions later. Maybe there will be a function of traveling through time and space. The system signs in on Uzumaki Naruto. Namikaze Minato's faint voice sounded. Ding, sign in successfully and get the critical hit reward and get the ghost path of the world of death. Minato was delighted when he heard the pleasant voice of the system, and his eyes flashed with unknown brilliance when he looked at his cheap son unconsciously. He thought to himself, the ghost path of the world of death. This his strength has become stronger by more than a little bit. Is it detected that the sign-in character has signed in? Just as Minato was thinking secretly in his heart, the mechanical sound of the system came again. Sign in. Minato said directly without hesitation, congratulations to the host for signing in and successfully obtaining the lightning attribute chakra. As the system prompt sounded, Minato felt that a huge amount of knowledge was passed into his mind. This is the use skills and methods of Ghost Way and the chanting spell. Then a strange chakra attribute appeared in his body. The original chakra attribute of his own had wind and earth chakra attributes. It is well known that the number of chakra attributes determines the number of ninjutsu that a ninja can learn. For example, if there is fire attribute chakra, you can learn fire escape ninjutsu. Then Minato looked at Kakashi and said, let your other 2 students come in. Kakashi nodded and walked out. Seeing Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura still waiting outside, he said that the 4th generation Hokage wanted to see you too, so go in. Kakashi felt confused and didn't know why Minato wanted to see Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura. At this time, the door was pushed open and a boy and a girl about 13 years old walked in. After they came in, they first looked nervously at Namikaze Minato who was sitting in the Hokage's seat, then they looked at Uzumaki Naruto. The two looked at Uzumaki Naruto with complicated feelings. Obviously, the conversation just now was heard by the two. Uchiha Sasuke didn't expect that the fourth-generation Hokage was Uzumaki Naruto's father. Haruno Sakura was also shocked. The father she despised was actually the fourth-generation Hokage. Minato looked at the two and smiled gently. Don't be nervous. I called you here this time because I have something to ask you. Uchiha Sasuke's heart was slightly calmed down when he saw this. At this time, Uzumaki Naruto said. Sasuke Sakura, don't be nervous. My father is the fourth-generation Hokage. Minato's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this, and he thought to himself, this kid is really a tiger. You won't tell others in the future. My father is the fourth Hokage. Minato hurriedly said, okay Naruto. Naruto nodded slightly and stopped talking. At this time, the system's voice also sounded. Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding! Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, obtaining a 1 Magatama Sharingan and Fire Attribute Chakra. The cold mechanical sound of the system sounded. Suddenly, Namikaze Minato felt a stinging pain in his eyes, which slowly disappeared after a while, and at the same time, a force flowed through his body. Minato knew that this was the Fire Attribute Chakra he had obtained from Uchiha Sasuke. And all these rewards were better than nothing. What's the use of a 1 Magatama Sharingan? Minato secretly complained. At this time, the voice of the system sounded again. Congratulations to the host for signing in Uzumaki Naruto, triggering the critical hit reward to get 10 points. Signing in to Uchiha Sasuke gets 5 points, and you get 5 points for signing in once. In the system mall, a 1 Magatama Sharingan only costs 2 points, and a 2 Magatama Sharingan only has 5 points. If you want to change, you have to change to skills or bloodlines from other worlds. Because there were several people present, Minato did not show the Sharingan he had obtained, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble. Minato saw that the rewards he had obtained from the two were almost the same, so he let Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura go out. After all, there was nothing to sign in on Sakura, and the system did not give any prompts to sign in. As the only two male protagonists in the Naruto anime, Uchiha Sasuke's rewards were a bit too bad, and then he looked at Uzumaki Naruto on the side. His eyes lit up. How could I forget that my cheap son still had a 9-tailed demon fox sealed in his body? This guy must be able to get a good reward. Uzumaki Naruto seemed to have noticed that someone was looking at him. He turned around and saw that his father was looking at him. He also smiled at Minato and said, "What's wrong, Dad?" Minato smiled and shook his head, indicating that it was nothing. Then he looked at Naruto and said, "By the way, Naruto, do you want to know why you are called a demon fox?" Looking at Minato, he said, "Dad, I want to know why. Although I heard from Kakashi that there is a 9-tailed demon fox sealed in my body before I met you, I still want to see it with my own eyes." Minato saw Naruto's somewhat childish face and his firm eyes, put his palm on Naruto's shoulder, and the two of them entered the sealed space directly. As soon as they arrived at the sealed space, the two opened their eyes and saw themselves in a corridor full of stagnant water, with dim lights shining above their heads. Even though Minato Namikaze had seen the environment inside the sealed space in anime in his previous life, I couldn't help but be shocked by the scene in front of me, because the environment was so bad. If anyone was sealed in a dark, damp and ghost place, they would not feel good. When I read the Naruto fan fiction in my previous life, I saw from other novels that some said that this environment was caused by the 9-tailed fox. Now it seems that this is nonsense, but Minato didn't know what was going on, and the two walked forward side by side. Not long after, I saw a big door on the side, in which a huge orange cat was sealed. Oh, no, it was a fox. Seeing Minato Namikaze and Naruto Uzumaki, the 9-tailed fox opened its pair of red vertical pupils as big as lanterns. The pair of lantern-sized eyes stared at the blond young man in front of him, and a powerful chakra burst out forcefully. Seeing this, Minato took a step forward, and the same powerful chakra collided with the red chakra of the 9-tailed fox. The 9-tail spoke human words from its huge mouth, and looked at Minato Namikaze and said, "Are you a human or a ghost? Didn't you die in my hands more than 10 years ago?" Looking at the 9 tails in front of him, Minato did not answer the 9 tails' question, but said, "Ninetails, I came here today to discuss something with you." The Ninetails was stunned at first, and then asked, "How do you know my name?" Minato smiled and said, "It's all thanks to you. In order to seal you, I divided your chakra into yin and yang, but the other part of you is still sealed in my body and has not woken up. Then I used the 4 symbols seal and the 8 diagram seal to seal you into Naruto's body. After I performed the Shiki Fujin, I also thought I was going to be sealed into the body of the god of death. I didn't expect that I would be saved by the legendary sage of 6 paths. He told me the names of your tailed beasts." Kyuubi's eyes flashed with nostalgia when he heard this, and then he asked, "Minato, tell me what you want to see me for." Minato didn't say much nonsense when he heard this, and directly stated the purpose of his trip. Kyuubi heard the conditions mentioned by Minato and laughed, "You are really ridiculous. Do you think I am so stupid? You said that the old man resurrected you, that's right. Do you think I'm stupid? Although I don't know how you resurrected, I know you were definitely not resurrected by the old man. As for my name, maybe you heard it from other tailed beasts." Minato heard what the 9-tailed beast said, and secretly sighed that he didn't expect this fox to be quite smart. Looking at the 9-tailed beast in front of him, which was as big as a hill, Minato and Uzumaki Naruto walked to the iron gate that sealed the 9-tailed beast. Looking at the 4 symbol seal on it, he said to Uzumaki Naruto beside him, "Go and tear off the seal on it." The 9-tailed beast in the door saw this scene and couldn't help but sneered, "Namikaze Minato, are you going to remove the seal of this uncle?" Minato raised his head when he heard the words, looked at the 9-tailed beast in front of him and said, "Of course, what else do you think?" Then just when he was about to tear off the seal, a hand suddenly grabbed Naruto's hand that was tearing off the seal. A familiar and gentle voice sounded, "Naruto can't tear the seal, the 9-tailed beast will run out." Naruto saw someone grabbing his hand, looked up and shouted, "Dad," then shook off Chakra Minato and grabbed his hand. "Nothing will happen with me here," Minato's voice sounded faintly. Chakra Minato turned his head to look next to Naruto, and saw a person who looked exactly like himself standing next to him. Minato noticed Chakra Minato's puzzled look. He explained, "You also saw that I am you, you are just my chakra, but now I am resurrected." Then he looked at Naruto, who got a signal from Namikaze Minato and reached out to grab the seal, wanting to unlock it. Chakra Minato was about to stop him, but was stopped by Minato. He said, "Do you know how Naruto has been doing in the past 12 years? The villagers all called him a demon fox, and now he just wants to gain power, so do you still want to stop him?" Chakra Minato heard this and struggled for a while but still argued, "The 9-tails will still run out like this, and the 9-tails will destroy the village." Minato was very disappointed with Chakra Minato when he heard this, and looked at Chakra Minato and said, "Between the village and Naruto, did you still choose the village?" Then Minato directly attacked and dispersed them. The reason why Minato stopped persuading and chose to attack directly was because in the original work, Minato was a qualified Hokage, but not a qualified husband and father. He didn't understand such a simple truth that a village can only exist after a family. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uzumaki Naruto watched his father break up Chakra Daddy, and his heart was calm. Although he didn't like killing, he didn't like to make enemies. "But I also long for powerful strength. I hope to be recognized by the villagers. When I grow up, I will become a man who can become a Hokage. Chakra Daddy actually prevented me from gaining powerful strength. He is just the chakra left by my father 12 years ago, and my father has been resurrected now." Then Uzumaki Naruto removed the seal of the 9-tails, and the violent chakra of the 9-tails rushed out, almost condensing into substance. Seeing this, Minato took a step forward, and a huge amount of chakra also rushed into the sky, and the golden chakra and the dark red chakra collided with each other. Naruto, who was standing by, looked at the figure standing in front of him, and his heart was slightly warmed. He murmured in his heart, "Is this the back of my father?" That the chakra of his father alone was comparable to that of the 9-tails. The 9-tails was very shocked that Minato Namikaze could actually offset 60% of his chakra. "You know, although it is not his heyday now, he is much stronger than the other tailed beasts. After all, when I divided the chakra, I gave myself a lot more. Now the other half of my power is sealed in the body of Minato Namikaze. Hasn't this guy died all these years? Why is the strength still improved so much? I guess the Ninetales will never know until his death that this Minato is no longer the Minato of the past. This is the Minato who travels through the system. Minato felt the amount of chakra of the Ninetales and was calm. It can only be said that the Ninetales is worthy of being a tailed beast. This amount of chakra can only be compared with the legendary ninja Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. If I hadn't signed in at that time to get double the amount of chakra, I really wouldn't have had as much chakra as the Ninetales. Minato also knew that although his chakra amount did not increase much after gaining spiritual pressure, there was a substantial change. Chakra seemed to suppress the enemy's soul. Looking at the nine-tailed fox in front of him, Minato said lightly, "Really good chakra." Hearing Minato say this, he was furious and couldn't help cursing, "You damn guy." At the same time, the huge fox claws slapped Minato, followed by a puff of smoke. Seeing this, the nine-tailed fox's huge pupils shrank slightly. This was a substitute technique. The nine-tailed fox hurriedly looked around to find the figures of Minato Namikaze and Naruto Uzumaki. Just when the nine-tailed fox was still looking around for Minato Namikaze, Minato's teasing voice came from above, "Nine-tailed fox, have you become stupid after not seeing you for so many years?" The nine-tailed fox heard the voice from above, and the huge fox head was about to raise its head, and heard Minato speak indifferently, "Did I ask you to raise your head?" Minato's cold voice stimulated Kyubi's nerves crazily. Then Kyubi was about to shake his head to throw off Minato Namikaze and Naruto Uzumaki on top of him, but before he could make any move, Minato took the lead and stepped heavily on Kyubi's head. Kyubi's huge head was stepped on by Minato and fell directly to the ground, making a deafening noise. At this time, 9 golden chains locked Kyubi tightly. Minato was puzzled when he saw this. Suddenly, he remembered that when he watched anime in his previous life, it seemed that there was not only his own chakra left here, but also Kushina Uzumaki's chakra. If nothing unexpected happened, the chakra chain just now should be the attack from Kushina Uzumaki. At this time, Minato turned his head and saw a woman with red shoulder-length hair and waist-length hair slowly walking over. The woman looked about 20 years old, and her body looked a little illusory, which should be caused by insufficient chakra. When he walked in front of the two, Minato realized that the facial features of the woman in front of him exquisite and beautiful, with a pair of bright eyes. She looks lively and romantic. She wears a white short-sleeved t-shirt under her snow-white neck, and a light green long skirt outside, which sets off her curvy figure. Minato was stunned for a moment when he looked at Uzumaki Kushina. He knew that Uzumaki Kushina was very beautiful in the anime, but he didn't know that after he traveled through time, he saw that the real Uzumaki Kushina was even more beautiful than the anime. Uzumaki Kushina smiled slightly after seeing the two of them, and then said to the struggling Ninetales, "Don't call you a stupid fox." Then she looked at Naruto with a soft look. Naruto felt the other's gaze, and was stunned for a moment, then said to Kushina, "You are so beautiful, big sister." He showed a carefree smile. Uzumaki Kushina was stunned at first, and then a beautiful smile appeared on her exquisite and beautiful face. Minato behind her did not go up to interrupt the conversation between the two. After all, the mother and son will recognize each other later. Kushina continued, "Naruto, you can call me sister, because I am your mother." Naruto was slightly stunned when he heard this, and then stared at Uzumaki Kushina in front of him with his azure eyes, and asked nervously, "Are you really my mother?" Uzumaki Kushina was very confused, but still nodded to confirm. This is when Uzumaki Naruto turned his head to look at Namikaze Minato behind him, wanting to confirm it. After all, he first knew today that his father was the 4th generation Hokage of Konoha, Namikaze Minato. And his father was resurrected and could be with him, and now he saw his mother in the sealed space again. All this seemed so unreal. Namikaze Minato saw Uzumaki Naruto's eyes fall on him, and a warm smile appeared on his face and he nodded slowly. At this time, Uzumaki Kushina in front of Uzumaki Naruto looked behind Naruto and saw Minato smiling at Minato, who smiled back after seeing it. At this time, Uzumaki Naruto couldn't hold back the tears anymore and threw himself into Kushina Uzumaki's arms. His tears soaked the clothes on Kushina Uzumaki's chest. Kushina Uzumaki also hugged Naruto tightly. After a while, the two separated. Then Naruto began to tell Kushina about his experiences over the years, how the villagers treated him, and how the Third Hokage gave him 1,000 taels of living expenses every month. Kushina Uzumaki gradually frowned. She thought about it and said, "My son still needs the help of the Third Hokage." She and Minato had a big yard, and they had done so many A-level tasks, and even S-level tasks were not rare. The rewards for these tasks alone were more than 10 million, which was the property left by Minato and himself to their son. With so much property, they would not be rich, but at least they would not have to worry about food and drink. Thinking of this, Kushina Uzumaki looked at her son with her beautiful eyes and continued, "Son, tell your mother where you live." Uzumaki Naruto heard his mother's question, although he didn't know what it meant, but he still answered honestly, "I live in a simple wooden house." Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help it anymore, her long red hair flying. Roared loudly, "Third-generation old man! You bastard, I sealed the 9 taels for Konoha." Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I sealed the 9 taels for Konoha, and finally died at the hands of the 9 taels with Minato. I also followed Minato's advice and sealed the 9 taels in my newborn child, in order to leave a hidden strength for Konoha. What happened? Not only did my son not become the son of a hero or the son of a Hokage, but he was also called a demon fox by the civilians of Konoha. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Kushina's nose was sore and she went up to hug Uzumaki Naruto in her arms. She choked up and said, "Naruto, Mom is sorry for you. Mom shouldn't have left you like this back then, but Mom is dead. Now the chakra left in the sealed space is almost exhausted. It will disappear soon. Your father's chakra is about to disappear." Naruto was slightly stunned when he heard this, and then broke free from Uzumaki Kushina's arms and said, "No. Dad has been resurrected. It was Dad who brought me into the sealed space. He said he would bring me powerful power." Uzumaki Kushina heard this, her beautiful eyes widened slightly, and then an incredible voice came out of her mouth. "You said your father was resurrected, how is this possible?" At this time, Namikaze Minato came over and asked softly, "Kushina, are you okay?" Kushina couldn't help it anymore when she heard this, and threw herself directly into Namikaze Minato's arms. Minato slowly hugged the woman in his arms, feeling a little unreal. That's right. After all, it's just chakra and a small amount of soul. Then Uzumaki Kushina raised her head, the beautiful face was charming. Then Uzumaki Kushina said to Namikaze Minato, "Take good care of Naruto, and make sure that old man Sandai has a bad death." At this point, Uzumaki Kushina's beautiful face showed a trace of anger. Uzumaki Kushina thought in her heart, there are also those Konoha high-ranking officials. Uzumaki Kushina knew that the reason why she and Minato died on the night of the Nine Tails Rebellion was not only because of the masked man, but also because of the Konoha village high-ranking officials. They didn't want them to live at all. The old man Sandai just wanted to regain power. There is no need to mention the root organization. Shimura Danzo is an ambitious man, and the root organization is his private army. Only obeying the orders of the root leader Danzo Shimura. As for other ninja families, Kushina Uzumaki of the Uchiha clan also guessed a rough idea. It is estimated that they were under house arrest and were not allowed to go out. This also puzzled Kushina Uzumaki. Your Uchiha clan is at least the founder of Konoha village and a large clan on par with the Senju clan. Isn't it your top priority to protect Konoha? Anyway, no matter what, I have to seek justice for my son. She also believed that Minato Namikaze had already seen this, and it was just a responsibility to the village. Hearing Kushina say that she wanted to seek justice for herself, Naruto smiled and said, "No need, Mom, now Dad has been resurrected and has become the 4th generation Hokage of Konoha again." Then Minato told how he came out and how he was resurrected. Of course, he didn't say anything about the system and spiritual pressure. At this time, Kushina Uzumaki looked at Minato with a pair of beautiful eyes curiously, puzzled. "You really resurrected?" Minato Namikaze looked at Kushina Uzumaki's cute appearance and said, "Of course it's true." Kushina Uzumaki nodded, and then her eyes dimmed as if she had thought of something, and she said slowly, "But my chakra is about to disappear, and I'm afraid I won't be able to see it again." Minato said indifferently, "What's the difficulty? As long as there is a constant supply of chakra, it will be fine." "Right." Kushina Uzumaki's bright eyes flickered slightly when she heard the words, and the two of them tacitly put their eyes on the Ninetales. The Ninetales noticed the wolf-like eyes of the two. "I couldn't help but tremble all over, and cursed at the two of them. Fuck, I couldn't help but curse at the two of them, two bastards." Then the two walked side by side towards the Ninetales. Seeing the two walking towards him, a trace of fear flashed in the Ninetales' eyes. The two stopped, and Minato said to Uzumaki Naruto on the side, "Take your mother to wait aside." Naruto nodded slightly when he saw this, and pulled Kushina to walk away. Kushina was slightly stunned when she saw this, and then reacted and said, "Do you need my help?" Uzumaki Naruto smiled and said, "Dad is very strong. That big fox must be my father's opponent." Although Naruto didn't know how strong his father was, he was able to defeat the Third Hokage, who couldn't be defeated by Orochimaru. His father must be very strong, right? After all, the Third Hokage is the strongest Hokage. Naruto thought so in his heart. Uzumaki Kushina wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by Minato. A powerful and gentle chakra wrapped the two and sent them far away. Uzumaki Kushina was slightly shocked when she saw what Minato Namikaze did. She thought unconsciously, how much chakra is needed to do this? Uzumaki Kushina knew that Minato Namikaze was very strong, but he couldn't suppress the Ninetales by himself, otherwise the two wouldn't have died because of sealing the Ninetales. What's more, Minato died in these years. How could he be so strong? Uzumaki Kushina kept thinking in her heart. At this time, due to the distance of Uzumaki Kushina, the chakra chain that bound the Ninetales also slowly disappeared. Then the Ninetales' huge palm slapped towards Minato, who dodged the Ninetales' huge claws. Seeing this, the Ninetales fired a hollow dog cannon in the direction of Uzumaki Naruto. Seeing this, Namikaze Minato rushed to help with a Rasengan, and defeated the hollow dog cannon. Then, Uzumaki Kushina's voice sounded. "Minato, be careful." The Ninetales opened its bloody mouth, and a huge amount of chakra condensed in its mouth. Minato's face showed a hint of excitement. "I haven't used the ghost way since I got the world of death." Then the huge-tailed beast ball flew towards this side. Seeing this scene, Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help but close her eyes, unable to bear to see Minato being blown to death. Minato stretched out a powerful palm and recited, "The 81st slash of binding path." Then a white barrier rose into the sky, and at this time, the Ninetales-tailed beast ball collided with the slash, making a deafening sound. At this time, Uzumaki Kushina and Naruto behind him stared blankly. After a while, Uzumaki Naruto reacted and kept cheering. "Awesome, Dad is really awesome." Dad's move actually blocked the Ninetales' attack. Uzumaki Kushina was also awakened by Naruto's cheers. Minato has become so strong. She couldn't help but praise. "What you just casually performed was a one-hit unprinted ninjutsu." Then Minato said, "Ninetales, is this all you can do? If so, it's time to end it." Ninetales was furious when he heard this, and saw Namikaze. Minato turned around and said as he walked, "Hard path 90 black coffins." Black and purple energy rose around Ninetales' body, and Ninetales even felt that he couldn't move, and couldn't help but roar. "Damn it!" This attack made him, the leader of the tailed beasts, feel the danger. Soon, the Ninetales was covered by a black coffin several dozen meters long. After a few breaths, the Ninetales figure appeared from it. It was as big as a mountain and fell heavily to the ground, gasping for breath. Seeing this, Uzumaki Kushina on the side looked at Minato in front of him with a pair of beautiful eyes and asked, "Is this really a ninjutsu? This power is too strong." Looking at Uzumaki Kushina, Minato smiled calmly and said, "Of course." At this time, he called the two to walk towards the Ninetales. The 61 binding method 6-foot light prison. .6 huge pieces of light bound the Ninetales tightly. At this time, Minato walked in front of the Ninetales and pressed one hand on the Ninetales' head. The seal suddenly released, and the palm of the hand slightly pulled outward, and a red chakra was thrown into Uzumaki Kushina's body. Uzumaki Kushina's illusory body also became solid, and another chakra was thrown into Uzumaki Naruto's body. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the infusion of chakra, Uzumaki Naruto's aura became stronger and stronger, and his body was also wrapped in a layer of golden-red chakra. Uzumaki Kushina, who was standing by, saw this and her beautiful eyes were full of envy. Minato also saw Uzumaki Kushina's expression and said to her, "I will give you stronger power after you are resurrected." Uzumaki Kushina asked excitedly. "Can I be resurrected too?" Minato nodded, and Uzumaki Kushina jumped up happily after getting a positive answer. Then Minato walked to the Ninetales who was lying on the ground and said, "You will not suffer any loss if the Ninetales lends its power to Naruto, and you don't want to be controlled by Uchiha Madara in the future." The Ninetales' huge red animal pupils shrank slightly when they heard this, and then they said tremblingly, "What did you say?" Minato smiled and said, "I said Uchiha Madara is not dead yet." Then he continued, "Kushina's chakra supply is left to you, no problem." Kyubi trembled and said, "No problem." Minato nodded and continued, "Kyubi, I am not a capitalist who only knows how to exploit. When the time comes, I can let you out and give you freedom." Minato painted a big pie for the Ninetailed. Kyubi nodded hurriedly when he heard the word freedom, and said excitedly, "Are you telling the truth? Did you lie to me?" Minato was happy when he heard the words. This Ninetailed is really a real person. At this time, the clear and pleasant voice of the system elf sounded, "Do you sign in when you find a sign-in target?" Minato was delighted when he heard the clear and pleasant voice of the system elf. "Do you need to ask this?" "Of course I signed in," the system signed in. "Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and getting a special reward." The system's somewhat mechanical electronic synthesized sound sounded. "What special reward?" Minato asked with some doubt. A humanoid card appeared in Minato's hand. "Do you want to use it?" The system's mechanical voice sounded again, "Not for the time being." Minato thought, "I don't know what this thing is." "Don't panic, let's talk about it after we get out of the system space in Naruto's body." Then Uzumaki Kushina said, "Kushina, I'm leaving, goodbye." Naruto saw this and hurriedly said goodbye to Uzumaki Kushina. "Mom, goodbye, I'll come to see you when I have time." The nine-tailed beast lying on the side pouted and muttered softly, "Ah, if it weren't for my chakra, Uzumaki Kushina would have disappeared long ago." But when the nine-tailed beast thought of the strength of Namikaze Minato, he was a little scared. No, this is not called being scared, this is called following the heart. At the same time, he didn't want to fall under the control of Uchiha Madara again. After saying that, Uzumaki Kushina also disappeared and fell into a deep sleep again. Seeing this, Minato and Uzumaki Naruto left the sealed space at the same time. They opened their eyes at the same time and returned to the Hokage's office. At this time, Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura saw the two open their eyes and asked hurriedly, "Fourth Hokage, what happened to you just now?" "Oh. Nothing, just went to see a friend." "All right, you all go back." Minato waved his hand perfunctorily. He didn't have time to chat with them here. The three of them retreated after hearing this. After watching the three people retreat, Minato retracted his gaze, the smile on his face gradually disappeared, and his eyes became indifferent and ruthless. "By the way, what is the system's special reward?" "Congratulations to the host for using the special reward and obtaining the Dragon Ball World's magic skill, 10 times KO fist without side effects." The system's emotionless voice sounded again. Minato was very surprised when he heard this. Wow, they are still playing some tricks. This is simply a critical hit reward. But did they change the name? Minato didn't care. After all, if it weren't for the system, he wouldn't be able to revive, let alone gain such a powerful force. 10 times the Kaioken with no side effects is an invincible skill in the Naruto world. It can instantly increase his chakra 10 times and his strength 10 times, an all-round improvement. I feel that my current strength has definitely reached the peak of the super shadow. After all, I have the spiritual pressure of the super captain. There is also the oldest heat-type Zanpakuto, the Blade Jaka. Once this thing is turned on, I guess Otsutsuki will have to kneel down and call him daddy. Namikaze Minato's eyes flickered slightly, and he made a self-talking voice. The next goal is to clean up the root organization. Shimura Danzo is a borer of Konoha village, the darkness of the ninja world. Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Konoha's 5.5 Hokage, the first generation of Namikaze, the one-eyed bandage man, the sexy son brother, etc. This guy can be said to be the one with the most titles in Konoha. Compared with titles, even the ninja gods Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara only have one title. This time, Orochimaru's Konoha collapse plan did not see any of the root supporters. Did they all go to play mahjong? This time, I must find Shimura Danzo to make trouble for him. I just said that I was going to the root to make trouble, but this person hasn't gone yet. The ninjas of the root have come to me, and the ninjas around me haven't dispersed yet. These guys have different masks from the previous Umbu. The masks of the Umbu are just in the shape of animals, and the masks worn by these guys have animals, and even some masks are smeared with paint. These guys are ninjas of the root. They are really worthy of being Namikaze. Minato muttered as he looked at the guys in front of him. Minato's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he walked out of the Hokage's office. As soon as he got outside, he saw the 7th team outside and said to him, "Let's go." As soon as he finished speaking, Minato Namikaze disappeared in front of several people. Kakashi saw this and put away the pornographic book in his hand, and said to the 3 people, "Let's go. Let's go outside and see if there is any new situation." The 3 of them looked at each other and ran outside. The appearance of these guys made the busy Umbu ninjas slightly stunned, and they all looked over in surprise. Kakashi, who had just arrived here, frowned, and was obviously wondering why the ninjas of the root would appear here. Because the ninjas of the root are directly under the command of Shimura Danzo, even the 3rd generation Hokage cannot order them. It can be said that it is the private army of the root leader Shimura Danzo. However, when Orochimaru attacked Konoha, he did not take action, nor did he send any root ninjas. Now the large number of root ninjas obviously came for their teacher Namikaze Minato. Thinking of this, Kakashi reached into the ninja tool bag with his left hand. As long as they dared to attack their teacher, it's okay to kill these guys myself. Although I may not be able to beat them, the 3rd Hokage is now seriously injured and in the hospital, and he can't care about Minato at all. There was a person who originally stood in front of Minato. The root was ordered by Shimura Danzo. Shimura Danzo and the 3rd Hokage were not only classmates, he was also a disciple of the 2nd Hokage and a longtime friend of the 3rd Hokage. It can be said that his prestige in Konoha is not lower than that of the 3rd Hokage. If Danzo appeared, he would definitely be able to fight against the current Namikaze Minato on equal terms. In this way, Namikaze Minato's situation is not very good, but Kaka doesn't know that the Namikaze Minato he is worried about is not afraid even if Uchiha Madara is in front of him, let alone a mere Shimura Danzo. What? You want to stop me? Minato Namikaze looked at the root ninjas in front of him. These people dared to block his way in sight. It must be said that Shimura Danzo was really a little stupid. He dared to send people to cause trouble without knowing the strength of his opponent. At this time, one of the root ninjas stepped forward and said, "Minato Namikaze, Danzo, please go to the root." Minato Namikaze frowned when he heard it, and then looked at the root ninjas and said, "Danzo asked you to take me there." Yes. The leading root ninja had no emotion in his words, as if there was no problem with his words. Minato Namikaze suddenly laughed, and this laughter made everyone present confused. After a few breaths, the laughter gradually disappeared, and Minato's eyes became extremely cold and his mouth made an indifferent voice. "You really don't know how to live or die." As soon as the voice fell, the leading root ninja instantly fell to the ground, holding his neck. Slowly, a red blood mark appeared on the neck of the root ninja, and hot blood slowly flowed out. The following root ninjas killed Namikaze Minato with expressionless faces. Seeing this, Minato smiled helplessly and turned to rush towards them. In just a blink of an eye, several root ninjas fell to the ground and didn't know whether they were dead or alive. These root ninjas didn't know why Namikaze Minato dared to kill them so decisively until they died, but they forgot one thing: Minato was still the Hokage of Konoha, and they openly provoked the fire. This is a death in vain. This scene made the ninjas present couldn't help but think of a sentence: the golden flash that cuts through the darkness of the ninja world can even travel through time and space. At this moment, everyone seemed to understand the meaning of this sentence, and also understood why this sentence was written in the textbook of the ninja world, because it was so fast that it was impossible to see. Is this the strength of the golden flash Namikaze Minato? Some people couldn't help but sigh. Using the Flying Thunder God vertical style and kunai, dozens of the elite jonins of the root were killed instantly. Let alone dozens of elite jonins, even 3 elite jonins can hold back a Kage-level strongman. He turned around and sucked the Flying Thunder God kunai, and all of them were in Minato's hands in an instant. These Flying Thunder God kunai were all his things, and he would still need them in the future. They were just some jonins of the root. It seemed that Danzo really thought he was easy to bully. By the way, let's go to the root and see what we can get, but let's take a look at the system mall first. After opening the system mall, he saw the points in the mall. He had signed in on Naruto to get a critical hit reward of 10 points, and signed in on Kakashi to get 5 points. He got 5 points from Uchiha Sasuke and 10 points from the Ninetales to get a critical hit reward. Now the total points are only 30 points. Looking at the rewards in the system mall, Namikaze Minato felt helpless. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 2 Magatama Sharingan in the system store only needs 5 points, the Mangekyo Sharingan only needs 30 points, and the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan still needs 10 points. It is obviously not as cost-effective to exchange the Mangekyo Sharingan as the Eternal Eye. If you use it too much, your eyes will go blind. If you want to change it, you should change it to the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, or to the ability of the other world. After all, the system spirit has said that the system store may be upgraded and updated from time to time. Maybe there will be better things in it. After all, I have received a lot of rewards that surpassed the system store just by crit sign-in. Just when Minato Namikaze was still looking at the system store and thinking, a voice came, interrupting Minato who was thinking. Turning around, I saw Kakashi and asked, "What's wrong?" Kakashi looked at Minato and said, "These ninjas are all from the root. It's okay for you to kill them like this. What can this be? They are just a group of tools." Minato said disdainfully. Kakashi suddenly looked at Minato and said, "Teacher, I don't know what I can do for you now." Minato turned his head and stared at Kakashi seriously when he heard what Kakashi said, and suddenly smiled and patted his shoulder. "But if you want to help me, practice hard. Make yourself stronger. I believe you can, because you are my most proud disciple," Minato said to Kakashi, and then turned and disappeared. In another dark and humid underground base, an old man over 50 years old sat in the first chair, with his upper body wrapped in bandages and his one eye that had been left outside, showing a cold light. This one is the leader of the root, the sexy son brother Shimura Danzo. At this time, a ninja of the root walked into the base below and glanced at the old man sitting in the upper position. Reporting to the root ninjas sent by Danzo, all were killed by Namikaze Minato. Danzo stood up from his seat when he heard that. "You said that all 7 or 8 of you elite root ninjas were killed by Minato Namikaze. How dare he do that?" At this time, Yamanaka Fong on the side hurriedly said, "Danzo, please calm down and listen to what they said first." At this time, Danzo gradually recovered. He slowly said, "What did you say?" The root ninja slowly said, "Let's talk about Minato Namikaze." "Danzo asked you to go see him." Danzo frowned and continued, "Minato Namikaze attacked Wagia later. Then several root ninjas present rushed towards Minato Namikaze. A golden light flashed, and 7 or 8 root ninjas fell down. Danzo was furious when he heard that. "You are a bunch of idiots, are you idiots?" Even Orochimaru was forced away by Minato Namikaze. This time, He originally wanted to ask Minato Namikaze to support him as the 5th generation Hokage. As a result, he was not invited by this group of subordinates, and he was offended by them. Danzo was just insidious, not stupid. He had been watching the fight between Orochimaru and Minato Namikaze from the side. Now he was sure that he might not be able to beat Minato Namikaze. Minato Namikaze came to the courtyard where he and Kushina lived before. No one had lived here for a long time. The courtyard was full of weeds. Seeing this, Minato Namikaze formed seals with both hands and performed the shadow clone technique. Dozens of shadow clones appeared, some cleaned the weeds in the courtyard, and some cleaned the dust in the courtyard. Minato Namikaze came directly to the living room and couldn't help sighing when he saw the familiar decorations inside. Time has really changed. Everything has changed in the blink of an eye. I came to my and Kushina's room and looked at the whirlpool above. Kushina and I couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Soon, Minato Namikaze had finished everything. As soon as he walked out of the door, he was slightly stunned. Fuck, I want to buy ingredients, but I have no money. Minato stretched out a hand and rubbed his swollen head, and said helplessly, "It's really a rich man, it's hard to be a man without money." "Forget it, go out and get some game first." Soon Minato came back with 3 fish and 3 hares in his hand, cast a small fireball to set up the fire, and skewered the fish and hares with wooden sticks and roasted them on the fire. Just when Minato Namikaze was roasting food happily, the system upgrade sounded. "Ding, found a place to sign in, do you want to sign in?" Minato said happily in his heart, "Sign in." Ding, sign in successfully triggers a critical reward to get a mysterious gift. "Do you want to use it?" Minato's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. This system is really weird. It plays tricks all day long, and it also has a sense of ritual in life, he silently thought in his heart, and saw a burst of light, and then the light dissipated, and then he saw a girl with short black hair and a haggard face, wearing a white prison uniform, muttering, "Where is this? Am I going to die?" When Minato saw this, the fish in his hand fell to the ground. He stared at the girl in front of him and said to the system, "What is going on?" The system's voice came faintly, "This is a special card and I don't know what's inside." At this time, Minato looked at the girl in front of him and said slowly, "Are you okay?" This girl is none other than Rukia Kachiki, who is in the world of death. I don't know how this system got her into the world of Naruto. The girl slowly opened her eyes, looked at Minato with a pair of purple beautiful eyes and said, "You are brother Minato." Rukia, who was wearing a white prison uniform, had tears in her purple beautiful eyes. She threw herself into Minato's arms. Minato didn't know what to do when he saw this, and hurriedly asked the system, "What the hell is going on?" The system elf pouted and said, "I gave you a beautiful girl as your wife, and you are not happy. I am a married man," Minato argued. The system elf said with disdain, "Your wife is not a virgin. Besides, she is the wife of your previous life. You two are not of the same soul. You both have a 12-year-old son. The one I gave you is a beautiful girl with a perfect body. You don't want her, right? If you don't want her, I will send her back." Minato said quickly, "Don't send her." "Can't I take her?" Minato continued, "What I want to ask is why she called me brother Minato. Of course I did it. I modified her memory. In her memory, you two were very good friends in the world of death." The system said proudly, "You can even entrust your life to her." Minato was sweating profusely when he heard it. This system is too perverted. It's just driving at the slightest disagreement. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the system's narration, Minato knew that this false memory was the past of himself and Rukia Kachiki in the world of death. Minato looked at the petite and cute Rukia in front of him, and reached out to pat the girl's slightly trembling back. Obviously, she was not as calm as she seemed when facing real death. Then Minato asked the system, "That system. Is there a character panel for Rukia Kachiki?" At this time, the crisp and pleasant voice of the system elf sounded. "Of course there is some for Hyuka. The systems panel gradually changed and slowly formed a character panel. Character, Rukia Kuchiki. Ability, Death God Transformation. Kido, Mastery. Battle Spirit Sword Sodi Shirayuki. Mastered Shirkai. Status, Recovering. Loyalty, 100. Evaluation, loyal to the host until death, willing to do anything for the host. Minato fell silent after looking at the evaluation given by the system. In his previous life, he was just a college student. As for the girl who has no money, the girl can see him, after all, he has no money. In a society that values money, women talk about money with people who have no money, and talk about feelings with rich people. Now think about it, it's really ironic. Minato couldn't help thinking in his heart, in his previous life, he had nothing except his parents, but now he has traveled to the world of Naruto and not only has a strong and handsome body, but also a wife and a cheap son. Now the system has sent me another Rukia. To be honest, Minato is not a person who doesn't know how to be grateful. Minato knows that everything he has now is given by the system, so he won't scold his system at every turn. As for the protagonists in the novels I read in my previous life who always scolded their systems as trash and dog systems, Minato just wants to say that without the help of the system, your shitty protagonist Halo is useless. Minato dispersed his thoughts and sank into the system. The system's spirit looked at Minato and asked a little puzzled after he came in. How did you get in? Minato looked at the system's spirit and said, Thank you, system. The system's spirit was stunned at first, and then a relieved smile appeared on his face and said, Go back. Minato opened his eyes and returned to reality. At first glance, he saw a cute and delicate little face appeared in front of him. A pair of beautiful eyes looked at Minato curiously. Minato looked at Rukia Kuchiki who was still wearing a white prison uniform. I couldn't help but frowned, stretched out my hand and took Rukia's soft and white jade-like hand and walked into the room. Rukia saw this scene, and her beautiful little face flushed. She said shyly, Brother Minato, if you want, I can serve you. Minato's heart moved slightly when he heard Rukia's words, but he still suppressed the desire in his heart and said. What are you thinking about? There are clothes inside, change them. I'm a little uncomfortable with the prison uniform you're wearing. Rukia's cute little face showed a hint of shyness when she heard this, and Minato patted his head with his right hand and quickly closed the door of the room. Rukia also took off her prison uniform when she saw this, revealing her upper body, with bandages wrapped around her chest, making her originally barren chest flat. Soon the door of the room was opened, a little head popped out of the door and saw Minato, then slowly opened the door, and Minato turned around, seeing what Rukia was wearing now, his eyes lit up slightly, and he looked up and down at Rukia, who was now wearing a white t-shirt on her upper body, a pleated skirt to her knees on her lower body, a pair of white and tender calves tightly wrapped in a pair of white stockings, and a pair of white rabbit cotton slippers on her feet. Finally, his eyes fell on Rukia's chest, because the clothes on her upper body were actually propped up by Rukia. Minato estimated that it was at least B grade, the size of a steamed bun. Rukia on the opposite side saw Minato's eyes fixed on her, and slowly lowered her head, playing with the corners of her clothes with her hands, and then Minato looked at a long bandage placed on the bed behind Rukia, as if he understood something. He said to Rukia with a serious look, Don't wrap your chest anymore in the future, okay? It's not good for your body development. After that, Minato reached out and took Rukia's hand and walked outside. After the two finished eating grilled fish and grilled hare, Minato was going to the Hokage's office to handle official business. He wanted Rukia to rest at home, but Rukia refused on the grounds that she wanted to understand this world. Helplessly, Minato could only take Rukia to the Hokage's office, and in the way, Rukia was curious about the shops around her, looking left and right, but Minato was helpless. Because he had just been resurrected and had no money, otherwise he would not have gone to the river to catch fish or rabbits. The poor people of Konoha around greeted Minato after seeing him. Hello, Fourth Hokage. Minato also responded to these civilians one by one. At this time, someone with sharp eyes saw Rukia standing with Minato. I couldn't help but secretly admire Minato. The Hokage is the Hokage. You see, the first thing he did after resurrection was to find himself a little wife, but these words were only dared to be complained in his heart. Some showed Minato a smile that all men understand. Minato was also amused and helpless when he saw the attitude of the Konoha civilians.